Sir, can you lift me up to see the sky? The question floated across the ferry deck like a prayer. Dashiell Moreland turned from the railing, where he'd been staring at the horizon without really seeing it, to find a young woman in a wheelchair gazing up at him. Her eyes held something he hadn't seen in a long time. Not pity or demand, but simple hope mixed with vulnerability. "The railing's too high," she continued, her voice soft against the sound of waves. "Everyone says the stars are incredible tonight, but from down here, I can only see the lights from the ferry. I want to see what everyone else sees. Just once." Dashiell's throat tightened. At 31, he'd spent years making decisions that affected thousands of employees, negotiating deals worth millions, commanding boardrooms with absolute authority. But this woman's request, so simple, so human, left him speechless. "Of course," he managed finally, his voice rougher than intended. "I'm Dashiell. How would you like me to help?" "Winslow," she said, a tentative smile crossing her face. "And maybe, if you could help me stand, just for a moment. I can't hold myself up, but if you could support me." He knelt beside her wheelchair, and she explained how to position his arms, how to lift without hurting her, how her legs wouldn't hold weight, but her upper body was stronger than people assumed. When he lifted her carefully, positioning her against the railing with his arms supporting her frame, Winslow gasped. The sky above them was infinite. Stars scattered like diamonds on velvet, the Milky Way visible in the clear night air, a shooting star trailing across the darkness. "Oh," she whispered, and Dashiell felt tears drop onto his sleeve. "I forgot how beautiful it was. I forgot how big everything is." They stood there for long minutes, Dashiell holding her steady while she drank in the sky. Other passengers walked past, some smiling, some looking away, but Dashiell didn't care. Something about this moment felt sacred, like he was finally doing something that mattered more than quarterly reports and stock prices. When he finally lowered her back into her wheelchair, Winslow's cheeks were wet, but her eyes were bright. "Thank you. You have no idea what that meant." But I thought maybe he did, because for the first time in months, he'd felt something other than the hollow emptiness that had consumed him since his brother's death 6 months ago. His younger brother, Marcus, had been killed by a drunk driver at 27. Brilliant, kind, full of dreams about changing the world through sustainable architecture. Dashiell had thrown himself into work after, trying to outrun grief, but tonight, holding this stranger while she looked at stars, something had shifted. "Can I ask what happened?" he said quietly. "You don't have to answer." Winslow looked out at the water, her expression distant. "University trip, 7 years ago. We were hiking in the mountains, celebrating graduation. I was 23, engaged, planning my first fashion show. Then I slipped on loose rock, fell 40 feet, broke my spine. My fiancé left 3 months later, said he couldn't handle it, couldn't give up the life he'd imagined for us. My career ended before it began. Everything I'd worked for just stopped." Dashiell sat down on the bench beside her, his chest aching. "I'm sorry. My parents saved me. My father's a professor, patient, steady, the kind of man who believes knowledge can solve anything. My mother's a social worker, so she already understood disability rights, accessibility, how to fight systems that exclude people like me." Her voice softened. "They never treated me like I was broken. They just treated me like I was their daughter, who needed different tools to navigate the world." "But you still create," Dashiell said, noticing the paint stains on her fingertips, the sketchbook tucked beside her wheelchair. "Fashion? Painting?" Winslow's smile was bittersweet. "From my bedroom. I design clothes for wheelchair users, beautiful, functional pieces that work with our bodies instead of against them. and I paint when the frustration gets too heavy. But it's not the same as what I dreamed. I wanted runway shows, galleries, recognition. Instead, I sell designs online to a small community and paint skies I can't always see. What Winslow didn't know, what Dashiell would only reveal later, was that he'd been on this ferry planning to scatter his brother's ashes alone at midnight. Marcus had loved this route, had taken it dozens of times, always stood at this exact railing watching stars. Dashiell had chosen tonight to say goodbye, to let go of the guilt that he'd been in a meeting when Marcus called needing a ride home, that his brother had accepted a ride from someone drinking instead. But then Winslow had asked to see the sky, and something about lifting her up, helping her access beauty she'd been denied, made him feel like honoring Marcus more than scattering ashes in solitude. Over the next hour, they talked. Dashiell told him about Marcus, about the architectural designs still sitting in his brother's apartment that no one knew what to do with. Winslow told him about the fashion show she'd been planning 7 years ago, the designs still stored in her parents' attic because she couldn't bear to look at them. "You know what's strange?" Winslow said softly. "For years I've been angry at the world for being built for people who can stand, who can walk, who can reach high railings. But tonight, a stranger helped me see the sky. And it made me remember that the world isn't just buildings and barriers, it's also people who choose kindness when they could choose to walk past." Dashiell's throat tightened. My brother believed that too. He wanted to design buildings that welcomed everyone, that made beauty accessible. He said architecture should serve humanity, not the other way around. He sounds like someone I would have liked. He would have liked you too. Dashiell paused, an idea forming. What if we didn't let those dreams die? Your designs, his architectural plans. What if we found a way to bring them to life? Winslow looked at him, startled. What do you mean? I mean, I have resources, a company, connections, funding. You have talent and vision. What if we collaborated? Created a fashion line and a gallery space specifically designed for accessibility, not as charity, but as business, as art, as proof that disability doesn't diminish creativity, it just requires different approaches. Tears filled Winslow's eyes. You don't even know if my work is good. Then show me. 6 months later, Dashiell stood in a gleaming gallery, designed using Marcus's architectural plans for universal accessibility, watching Winslow's fashion show. Models of all abilities wore her designs, elegant dresses with hidden adaptations for wheelchairs, suits designed for seated bodies, evening wear that was both stunning and functional. The gallery walls featured her paintings, expansive skies, sweeping landscapes, all created from her unique perspective. Her parents sat in the front row beside Winslow's parents, all 4 of them wiping tears. They'd become family, united by loss and hope and the belief that kindness could transform grief into something beautiful. After the show, as guests mingled and orders poured in, Winslow wheeled over to where Dashiell stood. You know what I realized, she said, her voice thick with emotion. That night on the ferry, when you lifted me up to see the sky, you didn't just help me see stars. You helped me remember that I could still reach for them. Dashiell knelt beside her wheelchair just as he had that first night. No, you reminded me that the best way to honor what we've lost is to help others find what they're looking for. My brother believed that too. He wanted to design buildings that welcomed everyone, that made beauty accessible. He said architecture should serve humanity, not the other way around. Winslow took his hand, squeezing gently. Thank you for stopping, for listening, for seeing possibility instead of limitation. Thank you for asking, for being brave enough to request help, for reminding me that sometimes the most profound thing we can do is simply lift someone up so they can see what we see, and then build a world where no one needs permission to reach the sky. Kindness is often just a moment, a pause, a question, a willingness to help someone access what others take for granted. But those moments ripple outward, transforming grief into purpose, obstacles into opportunities, and strangers into family. When we lift each other up, we all rise together.